Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Joni Young. If you're new here, thanks for joining. So today I'm going to be showing you step by step how to paint a pretty landscape with lots of waterfalls and mountains and turquoise river here flowing with some green grass and a few trees in the foreground. So I'm really excited to paint this. I hope you guys want to paint along with me today. This is a black primed 18 by 24 canvas. You don't have to do this on a black canvas. You can paint it on white canvas too. That will work just fine, or any color canvas really. I'm going to go over the colors right now and I'll list them all below in the description. We've got phthalo green, violet purple, ultramarine blue, cerulean blue, lemon yellow, sap green, yellow ochre, and titanium white. So I'm going to begin with a large blending brush here. This is a chalk brush and I believe it's 3-inch. So I'm going to get just a little bit of water on my brush first. I'm going to start with the background. There's a section up here of sky. It's very small, but it's going to be the brightest. And I'm going to take some of my white and a little bit of yellow. And I'm going to blend very lightly right up to the top of the canvas. So this will be a nice base that I'll come over later after it dries with a bit of a peachy tone, something a bit warmer. That'll be nice and complementary to balance out the darker colors that we have here in the foreground. So while this is sitting here drying, I'm going to use this dirty brush and I'm going to pick up a little bit of this cerulean blue, just like this, just tap a little bit on my brush, and I'm going to create some of these trees that are way high up and they're in the distance. I'm just going to start blending around, working both colors out of my brush now to give this more of a blurry, far away look, out of focus. And I'm going to take a little bit more of that cerulean blue now. I'm going to take a little bit of my ultramarine blue and a little bit of violet. So I still have a little bit of white in there with that yellow, and I'm going to go and tap right in here, and then I'm going to pull push and then pull and flick down like this. These are just blurry sort of waterfalls and trees in the distance. And then right down here is the water, so I don't really want to go past this. I'm just going to pull my brush back and forth. Okay, so this is the background, waterfalls and mountains and bushes, sky, and then we're going to build up more waterfalls and mountains up towards the foreground. That's okay if that's there. And then right up here, the foreground, we've got a bunch of grass and land that's going to be green, different colors, shades of green with a little bit of yellow ochre. So I'm just going to keep building this up here. I'm going to add a little bit of white to my purple, and I'm going to tap in, creating a light purple up here towards the top. A little bit more, push and tap, and then pull slightly on an angle like this. This isn't normally the brush that I would use for waterfalls, but because they're in the background and we don't have to do too much detail and it's going to be kind of blurry, plus we're going to have this tree that comes in front of it, I'm not too worried about how it's looking. And right in here, I'm going to turn my brush to the side, and I'm going to just start kind of scumbling around. Just using the edge of it. And I want to make it look sort of blurry down here. So I'm going to very lightly dry brush a bit of that mist that you get from waterfalls at the base, that spray. And I'll leave it like that, wash my brush out, and switch over to another brush now. So I'm going to use a number 10 fan brush. I'm going to take a little bit of my phthalo green, mix it with some of the white, and I'm just going to start adding some little traces of waterfalls flowing down here. I have all sorts of little round things like this, sort of half circles coming down. And this is when we can have a lot of fun, start building up these beautiful colors. I take a little bit more of phthalo green and the white, and I'm going to go right down here, push and pull back and forth. I'm going to take some more white now. A little bit of water just to help get that paint out of my brush and so it flows smoothly. Just going to scumble here. You can scumble with any brush just to give the illusion that there's layers of boulders and rocks, that these waterfalls are just sort of spilling over. Maybe the waterfalls are behind some of these or in front of some of them. So we'll do a whole bunch of these. And then I'll come in between some of these rocks, pulling side to side. I'm going to bring this out here into the foreground. And that's when I'm going to start picking up some of this lemon yellow and yellow ochre. Yeah, we'll just start working this paint out with the brush. See, it doesn't take too long or too much effort to create this. Take a little bit more of my lemon yellow with my sap green. And I'm going to come over and create some mossy covered rocks here. Perfect moss color, isn't it? I'm going to wiggle my brush into those two colors again. Pull. Bit of water, let this flow out a little bit easier. Here we're just going to have all of this taper off and go up along the side, and then I'm going to switch to another brush. Now I just picked up this one yesterday, and it is called Eventail, and it's 3/8. It's by Artist Loft. Isn't that cool? So I can't wait to use this for waterfalls as well as palm trees, the palm leaves. I think that will be a really nice way to just sort of create all those palm leaves quickly and easily. Okay, so I'm going to let this sit here for a little bit, and I'm going to go back to adding some more waterfalls and highlights. So what I want to do is I want to come in with purple and this beautiful blue here. Pick up a little bit of white, the two together, and a little bit of water on my brush, not a lot, just to help loosen that paint up a little bit. And I'm going to start tapping again up here, creating some little bushy looking trees. I'm going to pull into the white now. Tap on the top and pull down. Never used one of these brushes before. It's really cool actually. Pull and flick. This is where I'm going to start kind of shaking with my hand. Just to create a little bit more movement and cascades in these waterfalls. And then I'm going to scumble around like this to make it really puffy and create a big spray down towards the bottom here. I'll add some more white right in here. And very lightly, it sounds like I'm pushing hard, but I'm not. Creating some spray down there at the bottom. I'm going to take a blending brush, take one of my large mop brushes, blending brushes, get it a little bit wet. Really lightly, creating little circles and that spray back there. So I'm going to take a bit more white here on my brush. Maybe a bit of that cerulean blue. Wipe the excess off on a towel so it's not too heavy. We want a nice dry brush. Create all this fine mist back here and give us a hazy, blurry, misty background. Okay, while I have this brush, I'm going to create some more bushes here towards the foreground. I'm going to take a little bit of my greens and my yellows. Move my brush up like that. Quite heavy with the paint. And now I'm going to create that mossy texture. I'm going to bring it down just a little bit lower, and then I want to keep a black line there for some shadow. And then I'm going to pull and sweep up. As I do this, I'm going to take a little bit of my cerulean blue and ultramarine blue, a little bit more green, and I'm just gonna pull kind of and wiggle. That way we get, it looks like there's kind of moss and water dripping down the side here. And a little bit of purple and blue. And we can create a few more lines. It will dry darker, so it'll look probably 2 shades darker than that. And I'm going to take a smaller brush, a smaller mop brush, blending brush here, about half the sizes of the other one. And I'm going to take a little bit of my yellow ochre and my yellow. So you can see how I'm loading it, pushing. So I'm just getting half of it loaded with paint. That way I can get that half circle look to the top. And we'll add a little bit in here. Very lightly dusting over those ones there in the distance. And then of course here in the foreground for our grass. It's nice that you can use this brush for a few different things, and that's what I like to show you guys in my tutorials, that you can use a brush for, you know, say waterfalls, but then you can also use it to create foliage on trees. And actually right now what I want to do is add a little bit of a lighter green. So I'm going to look for more of a chartreuse green. Let's see if I've got one down here. So what I've got here is Artist Acrylic produced by Holland. It's a neon green. I'm going to mix this with my lemon yellow. I'm going to put it right there. And take both of those colors with a little bit of white, and we'll create a brighter, bit of a brighter green like that. And we'll see how that looks. Just gonna tap lightly. Not a huge difference. Maybe I'll be a little bit more generous with the green. Let's come out here. Bring some of these little bushes out a little bit further. And I'm going to switch over to another fan brush now. Take those greens again with the yellow and the white. Tap lightly like this. Pick up a little bit of my sap green now. I'm just going to blend all those greens with the yellow and create a bunch of different ones. Different tones and shades. Okay, so all of them together here. Pick up a little bit of water, and we're just going to make the paint thicker and heavier here now. pull in a little bit of my phthalo green, so a little bit of the phthalo green, mix it in with the other greens and the yellows. I'm just going to start adding a little bit more light right in here. We'll change this tone up a little bit here in the foreground, making it warmer, brighter. I'm going to bring my sap green in here and create a little bit of a shadow from the tree. So we'll have a little shadow casting down in this big tree we're going to add pretty soon. Add a little bit of purple just for fun. Purple's very complementary with green, of course. I'm going to take another blending mop brush and I'm going to take cerulean blue, purple, and ultramarine blue, or cobalt blue, works fine too. Take all of those and I'm just going to make this a little bit darker up here. Bit of water on my brush. Loosen some of this up. This time I'm going to add cerulean blue with the phthalo green. And I'm going to add a little bit up here into this purpley blue. And right above it. Make it a little bit darker. Add another layer of this pretty blue greeny mixture. And then I'm going to come over with some more white. Take my fan brush again and some more white. I'm going to start coming in with the final waterfall layers. So where I want my waterfall to be wider, I'm going to use the whole width of the brush like this. Then when I want it to be skinnier, and just get those little lines in there. See, I'm kind of just playing around with all the colors here. As long as it's lighter than the base underneath, which is black, you can use you can tint your white with anything here. So where I want them to be a little bit skinnier and just sort of have these little streams that are coming down, then you just turn to the side or just use the corner. I'm going to soften this up again with a blending brush here. And then we're going to bring out those rocks again. Okay, and for the rocks I'm going to use a Filbert brush. This is a number 9. You can use, well, really any size that you want. And I'm going to take some black. I'm going to mix the black with a little bit of purple so it's not all just boring plain black. And we're going to put a few little dabs of black in here just to bring some more shadows. And then tap sideways. I'm going to tap into my blue with my white now without washing my brush off. Do some little scoops. Back to the black. And then back to the blue mixture. So it's really up to you how dark you want your contrast to be. We're going to rock right in here. Let's push some of that yellow ochre, yellow and green in there. And lightly inside of the rock. Get another few in here. This just makes it a little bit mistier back there, doesn't it? So I'm going to have to add some more white to the waterfalls. It's drying a little bit darker than I'd like it to, so I want these to show up a little bit more. I'm going to go back to this really cool brush. I got it quite thick on the end of my brush there to work with. And just pushing and swishing little circles. and then pulling across. Try to come right in behind this rock here. Bring back a little bit of mist. Well, this brush is really fun. I got this at Michael's, by the way, so sorry guys, I don't have a link, but depending where you live, you can order it online or you can just go right into Michael's. And there's a few different sizes. I'm gonna pull in some green and yellow now. Have this coming off on the edge. I love the way that looks, that's cool. Add a little bit of yellow, the lemon yellow to the neon green now. Let's just start tapping in nice and thick. Still using this cool little brush. Creating little taps for little leaves and vines. Why not? Let's have some coming up here as well. Then we can add a little bit of a shadow. There's sun in silhouette right here. Let's add a little bit of our purple and blue and white together. Maybe there's some little flowers down here at the base. And we'll add a little bit more to that after with another brush. Just want to play around with the color a little bit and see how that would look. So right at the base of this rock, I think we need a little bit of water. So we'll add some misty water down here at the base, right here. So I'm going to add a little bit of pink up here in the sky, or peachy pinky color. So let's see, I can take some of my neon red. This is Liquitex Basics Acrylics. Whoops, tried to take just a little bit, but a lot came out. And I'm just going to take a clean Filbert brush, a little bit of that neon red. I'm going to lightly start at the top. Can't really see it. I'm going to take a little bit more and be a little bit bolder now with the color. I can always lighten it if I don't like it, right? I do really like this, I have to say. I think that's quite pretty. Get a little bit more of the yellow. Scumble it over this blue here a little bit. Yeah, I think I like the way that looks. And maybe I'll throw in some sun rays before I come in with a tree. So I'm going to take my large flat brush, number 11 here, that I like to use for my sun rays. Get it a little bit wet. I'm going to take some white. Maybe I'll take a little bit of, let's tint our sun rays. So yellow, pink, and white. And it's hard to see, I've got a lot going on with my brush right now. I have to wipe a little bit of the excess off. Okay, so we'll start on the sun right here, and a little bit of water on my brush. We'll come on an angle like this. We'll add another one right here. So it's going to be skinnier up here, right? And then we're going to make it wider as it comes down towards the ground. This one's going to have a little bit more pink to it. Not even worried that I picked up a little bit of that green there. I think that kind of just adds to the dreaminess in a painting. It kind of makes things kind of all disappear, kind of blend into one another. I'm just going to come in with a little bit of a highlight. Lightly tap the tops of these where those sun rays would be hitting. I kind of picked up a little bit of that green and made it look a little bit blurry, which I do like. But I want to bring a little bit of this back here. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit more of my pink. Try to even out these lines a little bit. Take a little bit of white now. Make this nice and bright. This area right here. Tap a little bit more of my yellow and my pink here. So I want to make sort of a peachy color and pull some of this because I love it when I see those sun rays and they have colors in them. Almost like a rainbow. Just gonna try, I know it's a bit wet right there and I'm taking a chance. Yep, it's a bit too wet. Just pull it a little bit. I have to wait for that part to dry and then come over it again. Use a little bit more pink in here. So we're adding a filter, which means you can still see through it, but we've just got a little bit of color in here. Okay, so I'm going to come in with the tree now. And I'm going to use a smaller Filbert brush for this. Just got this one right here. It's in, what number is this? Number 4 Filbert. And I'm going to take black and purple, maybe a little bit of that neon pink just to warm up my black a little bit. Okay, I really want it to be on the tip of my brush. And got this little area right here. So I'm going to make sort of a half circle, little arch right here, very narrow. And then I'm going to go this way, over here. Don't want it to be too thick. And there's another part of the tree that's going to come out and go this way. We'll just create some branches. Now if you want, if you're more comfortable, you can definitely use a little liner brush. And I'll do a few with a liner brush right here now for you guys. First I'm going to take some of my neon red. Now this combined with the black, like it's definitely going to dry darker. I'll just create some little bumps down here for some rocks or some just ground cover, whatever, tree roots, whatever you want it to be. Take this brush, a little bit of yellow ochre, yellow green. And I'm going to add some light right in here. Pull some yellow down here at the bottom with the white. So whatever yellow you want, just, I like to kind of have a mixture. I'm going to bring some light right in here. This looks really pretty. I think I'm happy with that. Actually, maybe just a little bit of light peeking in some areas right in here. Okay, let's go to the liner brush. Got a nice long one here. I'm going to take that red with black, get some more water. You really want a lot of water on your brush. And we'll kind of wiggle in different directions, being kind of shaky. Something like that. And now I'll come in with foliage on the trees, and I'm going to use, I think I'll use my big one here, my big blending mop brush, and I'm going to start with my sap green. So load my brush up on the bottom quite evenly, because I'm going for a really round bushy shape. I want all of the bristles on the bottom to be saturated, and I'm going to come in here lightly and create a few little areas where we're going to have our leaves kind of in clumps in little sections like this. Okay, I don't want to cover up too much that's going on in the background because I think that looks quite pretty. Just a little bit more though right in here. Okay, now I'm going to take another clean mop brush. I've got another one here. I've got lots on hand. And I'm going to take my yellow and my white, green, we'll add a highlight. I'm going to come back to my liner brush with my black and red, and I'm going to come in the foreground, or like in front of some of these leaves that we just added, and bring back some branches, because it makes sense to have branches in front and behind. So we'll leave those ones behind, but we'll keep these ones here in front. I hope you guys have enjoyed watching this one today. It was really relaxing and quite enjoyable to paint. Thank you to all my patrons and all of you guys that support me. And if you'd like to make a small donation for this video and to help me keep creating videos for you, then I'll leave a link for my PayPal and Patreon in the description below this video. So thanks so much, you guys, and I'll see you next time in another video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Bye!